So food is really important. And my wish is that when we look at food, we just don't look at it from I feel like there's no respect for food now. Because when we look at it, it must heal us from the inside going out. You know what I mean? When we must eat for a purpose. We mustn't eat just for the sake of. We must eat for nourishment. We must eat for satisfaction and just enjoyment as well.
For me, that's how I look at fusion, actually. Yeah. I look at it as making it a bit more palatable for the younger generations. You know, like for me, I remember my little granddaughter, she couldn't eat veggies of some sort. And I will have to do spiralize. Oh, that word.
So fusion is a very touchy topic,
right?
Especially even in Zimbabwe, where as a chef, I think outside the box.
In African tradition, the Baobab tree is where stories are shared, truths are spoken, and wisdom is passed on from one generation to the next. Welcome to Under the Baobab Tree.
My name is Belinda.
I am Langa. Today we are missing one of us. She's busy with family. She's with a baby, working out on a lot of things. So we're missing you today, Pam.
Miss you, Pam.
But you'll join us soon.
Yeah.
So, Belinda, you've got something to share. You know, last Friday was a big day for you.
Yeah.
You were part of the Next She Exporter, which is organized by Zimtrade. And you were one of the graduates.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
It's been an exciting program. And first and foremost, I'd just like to say thank you to Zimtrade for such an amazing opportunity to be part of the last cohort. And it's been a very interesting, enlightening, and very progressive year for me. And I've met wonderful women in the class that I was in. So I got to collaborate with a lady called Amanda, who's a farmer and an incredible businesswoman. And we came together after we finished, obviously, our program, and we have a new brand, which is called Tarisai Mukati. I know it's weird.
That sounds great.
But we love it.
So what are we looking into? It says Tarisai Mukati.
Tarisai Mukati, really, the story behind Tarisai Mukati is looking within yourself. It actually comes from a traditional Zimbabwean game, which was called Tarisai Mukati, but for us, it's a combination of from a farm to table situation, where we are saying when you open our products, they really come from within. The earth that we have here from Amanda's farm, and from the passion that is within me, being the chef that's actually creating these products. So Tarisai Mukati has a line of vitamin shots. It also has condiments. And since today we're actually talking about food, all our products were sold out. So I couldn't bring any today, but next time I will.
Oh, congratulations.
So it's really exciting, and hopefully people will embrace Tarisai Mukati as a new Zimbabwean product that's going to bring a fusion of flavors. It will carry significant cultural value as well, and also just be able to bring high nutritional value as well to the market.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. I'm excited about Tarisai Mukati.
Thank you.
So today, really, you've just already mentioned it in passing. We really want to talk about fusion cuisine in Zimbabwe in our own context. And I don't know, sometimes I look at fusion, is it innovation or it's a dilution of our own traditional cuisine? You are a chef, you work with all sorts of ingredients, and you do cook a lot of different cuisines. But when we say fusion cuisine and in our own context, what does that really mean? Are we running away from who we are? Are we mixing who we are? Are we tapping in from other cuisines? Are we taking from other traditions? Are we taking from other countries? What is it that we call fusion cuisine in our context in Zimbabwe?
It's such a complex question. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. But I think fusion in itself has been embedded in the Zimbabwean DNA in terms of food. Because looking at the different peoples that are actually in Zimbabwe, from Matebeleland, the Ndebele people, going to Binga, the Tonga people, we have the Nambia, we have the Shona people in Mashonaland. And as Zimbabweans, cooking similar but different food, I would say fusion already existed even before we can even say the colonizers came in.
Okay.
So fusion in our sense today, probably from a modern perspective, is maybe, how can I describe it? Where you have traditional foods, maybe that could be mixed up with a modern technique of cooking.
Okay.
I'm thinking people are looking at fusion from that perspective. I don't know. What do you think fusion is to you?
I think at first, what is Zimbabwean cuisine? And when we say fusion, for me, I'm thinking maybe fusion is taking, like I always make people laugh. I make jollof, but I call it zolof because it's my own version of rice cooked, maybe with a Western influence. Maybe I don't even cook it as well as they do, but it's my version of making rice the way the Western African countries would do. I mean, there's a debate there who does the best jollof. I won't get into that. But for me, I call it my zolof because it's my, I know, because it's my version. So for me, fusion means, to me, fusion is actually taking what we normally ate as our tradition base food. Let's say I'll give you an example of Istwala, sadza, where it was just cooked, then dished as it is. But then to me, fusion means taking that very sadza and then maybe adding an Italian twist to it, maybe add mozzarella, you know. So to me, that's what I think fusion is. And it actually gives us a way of being a bit more creative with our food and imaginative as well. Because when you talk about Zimbabwean food, some people say, oh, but Zimbabwean food is bland or we don't have much of a choice. Is it true that we don't have much of a choice, or it's because we allowed colonialism and Western kind of cuisine to sort of dominate who we are, and then based our food only on sadza with nyama nemriwo, or really and truly we can go back and start thinking of, like for me, for example, I love to take sorghum unground, just pure sorghum, and add feta and then put cucumbers and make my base for my salad. And make a base for my salad. And to me, that's fusion because it's not something that was traditionally done by us. We are now adding a twist, whether it's because of travel, diaspora influence. In fact, even the internet, you go on Pinterest, you will find something that fascinates you and you think, why can't I try it in my own Zimbabwean way and put a twist to it and not run away completely from who we are?
So, it's been quite an interesting debate. Like I would say, you asked a very important question, and you asked, what is Zimbabwean gastronomy, I think, when you started off. And I would like to say and bring it even to the community out there, those that are watching us, we actually cannot pinpoint what it is. Today I can just say is Chwala. But remember that Zimbabwe is influenced, even from a regional perspective. Chwala is called pop in South Africa. So when you say on the internet that sadza is Zimbabwean, the South Africans will tell you, no, pop is ours. And then the Nsima would be from, it's still sadza.
But we cook it differently though.
We do cook it differently. But what I'm saying is, when we now talk about fusion, for me, I think it's taking our traditional Zimbabwean ingredients and putting a modern twist to them.
Okay.
So let me give an example. Generally, sadza, let me say maize, actually came in from the Americas. And when it came in, it was actually not meant for human consumption. It was actually meant for feed. And when it came in, because they said there was lack of demand, or we were not producing enough of our small grains to feed the nation, the colonizers then introduced maize to be able to supplement our traditional grain. But we are supposed to be having our traditional grains, which I feel in terms of nutritional value are way much higher. And also we can be able to do a lot with them. So, you've introduced me to actually making a sorghum risotto, because we've made risotto with risotto rice.
Yes,
which
the arborio rice.
The arborio rice from Italy. But then when you introduced me to that beautiful sorghum risotto, I've never looked back.
So do I.
So now you're using traditional grains, which is sorghum, but you're taking a modern twist, or you're making the risotto. It's a modern take to what we have here. And so I think we need to change the way we think about our traditional ingredients. So if we take time to really look at what we have a lot, sis. And I know people are always saying Zimbabwean cuisine is boring, we don't have a lot, we don't have the sea, we don't have seafood, we don't have a lot of vegetables. But I've been doing a lot of research, and for your own information, as of now, I am on 89 indigenous fruits that I've discovered from Zimbabwe.
Really? From this dear country of ours?
From this dear country of ours.
Really? I didn't realize we've got so much.
Yeah, so we'll have the book. We're still working on it.
Yep.
But we have a lot. I mean, if 89 different types of fruit, are you telling me that's like few fruits that we can be able to eat, to be able, those fruits to be able to sustain us, to be able to give us so much joy? I don't think so.
Wow. 89.
89 as of now.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to the book now. I'm excited.
I'll share with you. I mean, you can even peep, before
I'm
the book comes
because
out.
we've always kind of tell ourselves that our cuisine is not wide enough. We don't have this. But I also think we were set in our ways in terms of eating it, cooking it, preparing it. We were set in our ways. That's why you find that I remember I used to cook a lot of inkobe.
Yeah.
And I'll eat it like inkobe. And then I happened to be married to a white man who didn't know inkobe. But when he ate that, he will add gravy in there and eat, and he will call it mixed beans. And then I'm thinking, does it taste nice?
Yeah.
And when I did, I discovered that that was the best way I could have inkobe. Yeah. And it tasted so different, yummy. But again, that's another fusion in that sense. Yeah. But it's just that we're sort of set in our ways and saying, we should eat it like this, it should be done like this. I mean, I know there are some cultures or cuisines that people are strict about how things are eaten. I mean, you will insult an Italian if you start eating certain things in it, or cooking in a different way, or putting cheddar when it's supposed to be mozzarella. They get offended.
Yeah, they do.
So we should be, I think we are a bit more flexible about it. But I know some people, when you tell them sadza is cooked differently, they go...
No.
Crazy, like you cannot put. You remember when we did those sadza balls?
We did the sadza balls, and we topped them with slow braised beef, which was absolutely delicious. So fusion is a very touchy topic,
right?
Especially even in Zimbabwe, where as a chef I think outside the box. And for me, I've been trying to convince people that there's lots of way we can actually enjoy sadza. And it's not been a popular opinion, especially for people that feel that food must stay organic, and it's because they say there's now a thin line between authenticity and commodification. So which I understand. But remember that we have a generation that did not grow up eating inkobe. There's a generation that doesn't actually like mopane worms. So what's wrong with grinding the mopane worms in a powder and putting that on a pizza?
You know what? For me, though, mopane worms, I'm petrified of them when they are alive. the way they move, oh no, they're just not. And I was born in Cuisine, a
which is
semi-arid
so weird.
region.
I always laugh when you tell me
that's where
that.
they come from.
Yeah.
So I remember my father would lift me up to just move from the house to get to the car to go to school. That's how petrified I am of those worms. And then now to imagine eating it, touching it is another story. Eating it. So what I did what you are saying. I did do a bit of ground mopani worms, and I put it in a smoothie. Oh no, I couldn't drink that smoothie for whatever. I'm very open to a lot of foods. I mean, I eat snails, but I don't know what it is about mopani worms. For me, I couldn't drink the smoothie.
I think remember that food is not only things that we look at. They actually have a spiritual connection to us. So growing up as a child, there are things that can completely traumatize you. That even if you grow up to be an adult, you won't be able to eat it.
For me, it's mopani worms,
and there's people who would say, even if you turned it into what, Belinda, I will not be able to eat sadzarejo. Because as a child, I was so traumatized. I was punished. And for me, my wish is for people to give our traditional foods a chance. But I also feel that as chefs, we're not doing it, we're not uplifting them.
Okay.
Let's give them a chance, but how can we improve them so that, the generation that's current is able to enjoy the food?
For me, that's how I look at fusion, actually. I look at it as making it a bit more palatable for the younger generations. Like, for me, I remember my little granddaughter, she couldn't eat veggies of some sort. And I will have to do spiralize. Oh, that word.
Spiralize.
Zucchini, courgette, whatever, so that I can make zoodles. And then she will eat. But when it's just there, sitting there, nicely roasted, she would not. So I would make even sadza and put lasagna for sadza, because she was just a particular little girl who didn't like certain things. But for her to eat, I had to put a twist to the same food that otherwise she would have thought, I don't eat this, Coco, I don't eat this, but she did. So to me, that's another way of actually making someone who's not familiar with that particular ingredient be able to stomach it and enjoy it, because I think fusion is really to enjoy. You're not running away from who we are, but we are saying let's just enjoy it with a bit more. And for me, why fusion can work or cannot work is when now then maybe taking a very healthy organic ingredient and then lather it with sugar or something. To me, then that's kind of running away from the goodness of a product.
Of the product.
But I also respect that anything that's sweet or as a treat, why not do it as a treat? It's just that you're not living on it. It's a treat. Maybe that's what we need to have a better relationship with food. So that even if you do put that twist, it's purely for a treat, not to say I'm twisting zuyo completely and adding condensed milk to it. So you are a chef.
When you're talking about issue of just improving or adding value to a product, I mean, we'll talk about your product, which is the Kalahari, the Melon Delight, which I absolutely love because I've used it, I've put it on eggs, I've enjoyed it on all sorts of things. I've eaten it with meat and all sorts of things. And this is ijodo, which is obviously the Kalahari melon.
Yes.
But you use this just from the rind. Because usually we use what is inside.
The yellow part. We use for some porridge.
For some porridge in nobi. And then, but you've decided not to throw away the rind. And this is where we have this beautiful product. I mean, it's stunning.
It is.
I mean, when you look at it, it's a fusion, because what you've done, you've taken something that people generally throw away. And use modern methods of, can I even say preservation? Could we say?
Preservation, pickling it. And again, I say to people, we talk a lot about kimchi and all those things that come from other countries. But this is our own version of enjoying food that's kind of fermented, because we add vinegars and stuff like that. But for me, it was mostly to say, let's not throw away everything from this humble fruit
Yeah.
that I grew up just eating it the same way. Yeah, I didn't even realize at the time when I was eating it as a child that the seeds of it one day in the future will be the main ingredient in our skincare.
Wow.
Never thought of it. I just thought seeds. Sometimes you roast them, you eat them, or throw them away, or put them back into the soil, and then you know. But now we are using that very seed into our cosmetics line, our lipsticks, our cleansers. They've got the seed from this very melon, and then the flesh we make marmalades.
Beautiful.
And then that bit that we're throwing away, we make this. So for me, it's really trying to make us aware that we throw away a lot of food and a lot of goodness because we are not experimenting enough, we are not creative enough sometimes, or we are just blinded by doing something the same way that's always been done. So yeah, for me, when this started and I realized that you can use it in anything and everything, I'm
it's
like, wow,
beautiful.
it's a jar you need in your cupboard.
I know, right?
It's a jar you need in your cupboard.
So guys, if you'd like to try it, you know, just get in touch with us. We'll give you our socials. And then you can always try House of Langa, Kalahari, Melon Delight. It's absolutely beautiful. So for me, I mean, you know, something that's really interesting is that I think the past 2 months, as I've been researching on some indigenous dishes, I discovered about 23 dishes that I've actually never heard of.
Wow.
From actually 23 from the Ndebele, coming from a Tebele land.
Yeah.
And I think about 25 coming from the Shona side, and definitely a lot more coming from the Tongas.
Yes.
So it's been really fascinating. But what I realized about classification of food is that when it happened long ago, food had a purpose. Food had a meaning.
Yeah.
And I think fusion really was instilled in us from way back. Have you ever heard of a dish called isidlwadlwa?
No. Where is that from?
So
it sounds very Ndebele to me.
It is Ndebele. Isidlwadlwa was a royal dish.
Wow.
And this is where they used inhlogo yenkomo, you know, which is a cow's head, and they mixed it with sorghum. And from what I understand,
or as it is, sorghum.
Sorghum fu, as it is, they'll just boil it, and then they'll take meat from the cow's head, and then that would be served to the kings.
Wow.
So they were royal dishes. They were dishes that were served to children when they were young. Like I'll tell you, even from the Shona side, where they take the baobab powder, and then the porridge is given to children.
Yeah, that one I'm aware of.
Yeah,
but it's isidlwadlwa.
I was like, what?
Wow.
And you know, I've been learning from other chefs. I've been, you know, coordinating with, and shout out to Prince Magriza can cook. You know, he sent me quite a few
Really?
recipes and dishes that I'd never heard about. You know. And also, you know, isinkwaso mfahlwa. We call it, then people call it cornbread, but it's actually something that people used to do.
Absolutely.
In the olden days. So there's loads.
The more I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow. So the way you are saying it, so it means food is never just food.
No.
Really, it carries an identity.
Yes.
It carries our memory. It carries our history. It's really who we are.
So food, like I said, it's really a soul body kind of thing where it's instilled in us.
Yeah.
And when you talk about food, you can also talk about nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because someone in the UK is thinking, if I can just have Madura, if I can just have, you know, muriwo wedovi or something, you know what I mean? So food is really important. And my wish is that when we look at food, we just don't look at it from I feel like there's no respect for food now. Because when we look at it, it must heal us from the inside going out. You know what I mean? It must, when we must eat for a purpose. We mustn't eat just for the sake of. We must eat for nourishment. We must eat for satisfaction and just enjoyment as well. And soul food, they call it soul food in America.
Yeah.
What do you think we must call it here?
I don't know. I'm thinking with fusion. So I'm saying to myself, so when we fuse cuisines like we are doing, whose story are we then telling? Whose story are we telling? Are we still telling our own?
Yeah.
Or we are accepting that we are not surviving in this earth alone? We have others besides us, others outside us that have shared or have shown us. Or to me, I think it creates Ubuntu as well in a way. Because for me, to be able to pick a certain type of food from one's other culture and identity and infuse it on mine, it means there's a lot of respect that gets built from there. It's a talking conversation as well, because it creates this relationship that otherwise would be like, oh, I don't like that food, or but when it's now done the way it should be done, actually, I think it becomes part of you as well. I think that's what fusion is. I don't know what to call it. I mean, some people say soul food.
Soul food,
maybe we need our own.
I think we need our own, but again, we'll leave it out for people to decide what they want to call it. Like I said, it's really like a sensitive place where people feel like once you create a fusion with your traditional ingredients and use modern techniques, they feel like you've disrespected the food. But I've also said that food is dynamic. I've also said food has evolved. And because also in Zimbabwe, we want to showcase what we have. If we keep being stuck when I mean modern, I don't mean like in our traditional ways.
Yes.
I mean, we are not wanting to change, put ourselves out there. I'll give you an example. So we're wanting to say Zimbo, right? We're wanting to say people must come and visit our nation. But when a tourist comes and they're coming from France or coming from, America or something, and you tell them like, can you try Jemkati, which is tribe, and they're so petrified. And then you go ahead and give them tribe, but then the tribe, I don't know what you call it in English, kukwambe, you know?
Yeah.
Do you think they would ever like it again? But what if you introduce tribe and it's biltong, like the one we've done before?
Yeah.
And the person can actually try tribe. It's dry. They can taste the earthiness. I'm not saying that they shouldn't try it while it's like that. But we give them food, but sometimes it's not
familiarity, I suppose.
Yes, it's not well presented.
Yeah.
So I'm saying we can improve in the presentation.
Yeah.
We can make it look better. We can make it taste better. And I think that's, for me, that's where I'm saying the fusion is coming
from. But I also think we've got quite some young chefs at the moment. I see on Instagram posting Zimbabwean food, but it's the presentation.
Yes.
There's this young lady that I follow on Instagram. I think it's Pot Traditions.
Yes.
Or Pavute.
Pavute, yes.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I always look at her or see, and she's a young lady, but the way she's doing it with tapping into the traditional bits of it, even cooking with our clay pots and presenting things. For me, I think that's the fusion that I'm really excited about, that she's a young lady, but already she understands
who
respect
she is. for ingredients.
And she's
respecting our culture.
Absolutely.
And making sure that she's maintaining the integrity of who we are as Zimbabweans. And
so
I think you hit the nail on the head there. To say fusion must not deter us, or fusion must not take us away from who we are as Zimbabweans. Fusion must in fact elevate who we are. It could be through presentation. It could be through adding value to what we already have. It could be through, putting a different type of cuisine or mixing it together. But at the end of the day, what we want to showcase is what Zimbabwean cuisine has to offer the world. And I think that is the path that I'm on, to revive the dishes that we are somehow losing, and to be able to, one, document them, and then also make sure that the public knows about how incredible Zimbabwean gastronomy is.
But I also think this fusion helps us to stop looking down on other foods in that sense. Because if you've never eaten something and someone shows that or presents it to you, and then you're like, oh, you know, to me, I think that's a bit disrespectful. Try something and then move on. Like I said, I'm from Matebeleland. My Mopane worms are my stuff, but I can't eat it for whatever reason, right? But I remember once I cooked chicken feet living back in the UK. I cooked my chicken feet, and my ex-husband now, but he came home and he found me boiling these things with some chilies and stuff, and he saw that and he went, "What are you cooking?" And I was like, "But that's my favorite part of a chicken." And he says, "But there's no meat in that." And I mean, I remember him even phoned his father and said, "What have I married?" And when you found me eating, I was chewing everything. Says, "Oh, what are you doing?" They've got nails, everything. But you know, for me, chicken feet are my go-to meal. I love chicken feet. Put a bit of chili. It's like the best snack. I'm watching football. Well, I'm not going to tell which team I support. I'm watching football and I'm eating my chicken feet. I'm like, you know. So for me, it's looking down on other people's dishes. There are let's not go to football.
I know.
There are so many
we support the same team and we're not doing very well, but it's all right.
So we know. So for me, I think this fusion helps us to appreciate other cultures. Helps us appreciate who we are without looking down on other cuisines or traditions. I mean, I look at it and I say I can't eat Mopane worms, but I easily eat snails, prawns, and stuff. And to someone else, that's like, oh, I can't. So I'm quite open when it comes to food. I mean, you know, I love food, and I experiment here and there. I'm that person who, I think inside there's a chef in me bursting to come out.
You are a chef.
Maybe one day it will come out. But yeah, so for me, fusion allows us to be more open to other cuisines and also be respectful to them. That's true. What I see fusion to mean to me.
That's true. And I hope this conversation, you know, when people talk to us, it opens up a lot of portals for people to discuss food from a more holistic perspective, you know, because, you know, with the research that I'm doing, in the Kore culture, they can be able to see that this is a new bride by the way the chicken has been cut. I thought that's incredible because food then tells a story itself.
Absolutely.
So the food that we cook, if it doesn't carry a story, then to me, it's pointless. The food that we carry, the food that we eat must always have a meaning to who we are as a people, to even as families. When you have, you know, nonas, which are Italian grandmothers, or the aunties, which are Indian grandmothers. And, you know, the thing that I love about that is that there has been documentation of the processes, you know, the small things that matter, how Granny did. And I wish we could also tap into that with our grandmothers to make sure that we document everything that they do to the food so that it carries a meaning, so that we do not lose our identity altogether. Fusion has always been there, but I think it's how you then look at it, like you say. Is it fusion because we are embracing other cultures? Is it fusion, we're putting a different ingredient, which is modern, a different technique? Fusion can be looked at, you know, from a different perspective.
Okay. So your parting shots before you give us our social media handles.
My parting shots. My parting shots would be: let's open our hearts and embrace what God has given us as Zimbabwe. Let's love ourselves, because loving ourselves, I mean, there's a saying that says we are what we eat. So who we are as Zimbabweans is determined by the food that we're eating. And I know there's been people moving away from our traditional foods going on to modern foods. I'm not saying no to that, but I'm saying there's a need for us to now come back. And, you know, you've seen, we can talk a lot about food, how global warming is actually changing the narrative on food, and how we're talking about sustainability and all those things. Let us go back to the things that will nourish us first. And from there, I think we can experiment with the food that we have here in Zimbabwe. We can have our masao cookies. We can have our millimil cakes. We can have, our sweets made from our fruits, lollipops and all that. We can even have beverages that we can create from the fruit that we have, that God has given us.
Wow.
So my parting shot would be, if you love food and if you love traditional food, let's create a community. I'm sure in the next few weeks, we said we're going to create a food club where we'll have foodies coming in, people sharing their stories about our foods and sharing recipes. And that's going to be absolutely incredible. So watch out in our social media handles when we're going to call out for the group in terms of that. Yeah. So for our socials, should I go ahead and give them the socials? So for Instagram, you can find us on Under the Baobab. TikTok would be Under the Baobab Tree. And then for Facebook is Under the Baobab Tree. And you can also find us on YouTube, where we have Under the Baobab, our YouTube channel.
Okay,
yeah.
So for me, maybe from what our good chef has just said then, our food does not need validation. I think it just needs visibility. So from what we've been talking about, let's hear what your thoughts are. Send us messages, your comments. Until next time, we'll meet you again under the Baobab Tree.
Bye.